Ja, hallo und herzlich willkommen zu Headlock, dem Pro Wrestling Interview. Bei mir heute der ungarische Shootingstar und neuestes Mitglied der wXw Wrestling Academy, Peter Tihanyi, is here with us. Welcome.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Thank you for the invite.
So, how are you doing?
I'm fine. I'm a bit tired because I have a lot of things to do. I run a lot of classes in Hungary at the HCW dojo, but other than that, I'm good.
So that's a great way to start because we recently learned that you will be joining the wXw Academy full-time as a trainer alongside head trainer Robert Dreisskers and the rotation. So yeah, congratulations for that position. Just to start out, maybe you can tell us a little bit how this came about.
Yes, so thank you very much, first of all. So the first time I was at the academy was in 2020. So that was the first time that I really met the academy itself. And the next year in 21, I started working for wXw. And usually when there is 16 Carat or the World Tag Team Festival, me and other Hungarian guys like stay in Germany for another week after the festivals just to train at the academy. So we were there a lot of times already. And this year when we were traveling to Hamburg, the topic came up, which like was about that I should move to Germany, and that's how it really started. So it was this year, and I signed the contract. I don't know, around like 2 weeks ago. So in June 17, I'm going to move there and start working for the wXw Academy.
Yeah, it's really great because I think you're going to complement the style. If you look at who's training there, it's Robert Dreisskers, who of course is very versatile in the ring, but he's more of a big man. Then you have rotation, who does a lot of the high flying stuff, which you do as well.
Yes.
But I think your style will be a really good complementary style to learn for.
Yes, I really hope. When I was there in January and February for 2 weeks with Robert's injury and rotation's injury, I really enjoyed it to be there, and yeah, it was amazing. So I'm really looking forward to it.
And it's a great facility as well. I was there for the first time during Inner Circle this year, and it's a really great gym with a lot of.
Oh yes, it is. It is beautiful. Yes, exactly.
So you talked about that you're also a trainer or the head trainer, I think, actually as well.
Yes.
At the HCW dojo, which is exactly. the dojo of the Arrows of Hungary in Hungary. How did that come about, and how will the new position affect your ability to be a trainer there? Because you can't be in both places at the same time.
Yes, exactly. So the first time I was running a class, it was in 2018, so it was like 5 years ago, and I became the head trainer last year, beginning of last year. So I'm the head trainer for a bit more than a year. Dover is still the main coach there. Like he's the president there, but I run all the classes. And yes, like you mentioned, I can be there and also at the wXw Academy. So I'm going to move to Germany in June. So I think Dover is gonna replace me, and he's going to do the same thing what I do now.
So when did you actually start training?
When I started, you mean? Or
no, when you started to train as a wrestler.
Oh yeah, so it was in 2012. So when I was 12 years old.
Wow, so
it's almost 11 years now.
So how can we? I think the wXw, at least they used to have kids training as well. I'm not sure how it works these days.
Yes.
So how does wrestling training at age 12 work?
So yeah, we also had kids training. So that was the group I joined. And in the beginning, we don't even do bumps. So we don't take bumps until we are 16 because bumps are not good for your body. So even though we were like kids, we could still train. We did a lot of stuff. We did a lot of conditioning and cardio stuff, and also like basic technique stuff. But in the beginning, we just didn't do bumps and like crazy things to save our bodies. And when we turned 16, me and my like training mates when we turned 16. They moved up. They moved us up into the like more like a beginner class. So that's where we really like started taking bumps and do more stuff. And after that, it was just like at the academy, with the groups and everything.
So you said that you started to be a trainer at age 18,
Yes.
and you also started to wrestle around the same time.
Yes, actually, I was a trainer first, and then I made my debut.
That's a
Yeah.
very curious thing. So you were good enough, or Dover trusted you enough to say, okay, this kid is good enough, even though he hasn't had his first match, he can lead others and train others.
Yes, exactly. So Dover knows me for like more than 10 years. So like he was my trainer and he's still my trainer. So he knew me and he felt like I could do the training. So he trusted me and put me in that position. And I had some matches there, but not in front of like a big live crowd. It was at tapings in front of the dojo guys. So it was still like a live crowd, but it's different when the guys from the dojo are there. So I had some matches, but I didn't make my official debut yet.
So maybe just a little bit about the wrestling scene in Hungary, and also about the lifestyle in the dojo, because I think Ikros and Dover told me a few years ago it's not just a place to train, but it's also a place to meet and maybe give life advice to kids and stuff like that.
Yes, exactly. That's true. So yeah, I think we have a lot of guys who are there because they just like to be there and just like to be there with their friends and just have a great time. Maybe they don't want to be a wrestler later, but they still do the trainings. They enjoy being there. I don't know, we finish at the training, they go home together, they go out together. So they really find the community.
That's really cool to hear. So what's the wrestling scene in Hungary like these days?
Yeah, so I think it's getting bigger and better. Now we have three promotions. We have HCW, that was the first one. We have Passion Pro, and we have XWP. Actually, that's a smaller one. That's close to the Slovakian border. So with these three promotions, we almost have Hungarian wrestling in every month, which sounds really good because in the beginning it was, I don't know, like a couple of shows a year, but now there's a chance for you that you can wrestle almost every month in Hungary, which is really good.
And from what I remember, I was there a few years ago for an HCW show. It was the show where British Strong Style were in.
Oh yes,
There was actually. And what I noted was there was a lot of very young people. It seemed to be like the cool thing to do was go to the wrestling shows. Is it still the same?
oh yes. So we have a lot of young kids. We have families. We have like actually our crowd is with everyone. But yeah, we still have a lot of kids and young people who enjoy wrestling.
Okay, so you said you started in 2018 at HCW.
Yes, actually, the show you mentioned, that was my first ever big show. So that was my debut match.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So I actually saw that in person.
Yes, I was the opener. Maybe you remember, maybe you don't. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't check the card. I just remember the main event, and I remember a few people, but it's actually cool that so I've seen you right from the start actually.
Yes, exactly.
I saw you here in Austria for Rings of Europe a few times before you actually made your debut in wXw.
Mm,
And in HCW, I saw you first teamed with Justin Wild, who's
exactly.
with BT these days. Did you guys come up together? Did you train together, or what does this team mean to you?
Yeah, so exactly like that. That's the reason. And we also had another guy, Waldo Brown. I'm not sure if you know him.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and we also in a stable which was called New Generation. Maybe you heard about that one as well. And it's exactly for the reason you mentioned, because we started kind of the trainings together, and then we were like doing them together, becoming friends, and we just kind of like grew up together. So when it was the time for us to make our debuts, After a short time, they put us in a tag team because they knew it will work because we just knew each other and we grew up together and stuff like that.
So you actually won the HCW Revolution title from him in 2019.
Yes.
What's like in the promotion? What's the status of that title, and like what did it mean to you to win it from your buddy, so to speak?
Oh yeah, so it was something else. That match was really bloody and disgusting, but at that time we were like, yes, this is a good match. When we were watching it back, we had we had different opinions, but it's okay. But yeah, the Revolution title is kind of like the shotgun title in wXw.
Okay.
Yeah, and it represents the younger generation, I would say. So it was a really nice thing to win that title and be the face of the younger generation. And yes, like especially against one of my best friends in a bloody match where we just killed each other. It was something else, but it was a really great experience. I remember I was crying when I won the title.
So we haven't really seen you do much of that style in wXw. We saw a little bit of your more brutal side during the Käfigschlacht this year.
Oh yeah.
But is that a style that you actually enjoy doing, like the bloody hardcore stuff, or
No,
is it, oh.
I don't enjoy doing it, but it was like, okay, this is a title match. This is our biggest show of the year, and that show is called Bloody November, which I think already like shows what is it about. Now it's not that brutal anymore, but back in the days, they did some crazy stuff there. So it was in Bloody November, and both of us felt like, okay, we can do this hardcore match, and that was it. but I don't like doing hardcore.
We don't have to fear Peter Tihanyi stabbing people in the head with a fork coming in.
I mean, you never know, but but yeah, like wrestling is bad for your body anyway. So why would you just do hardcore matches?
So you actually won the HCW championship as well. You held it for about 6 months. You beat Maverick. You lost it to Chris Jokic, who is also
Yes.
a name we've seen in other countries as well. So what did it mean to you to be able to be the world champion, so to speak?
Yes, like being the champion of HCW. I think that's a big thing, and you have to realize that if someone hears about HCW, you're gonna be the first guy who they're gonna see probably because you are representing the company everywhere. So it's a big pressure on you. But I try not to think about it this way, like, because if I always think, okay, that's like a big thing, that's a big thing, like it can mess up your performance and everything. But I really enjoyed it, and I felt like really good, and I was really happy that the promotion decided, okay, he can be the champion. So I tried my best with that championship run. So I really enjoyed it, and I feel like there is another time for me to do that again.
So you've also gone overseas pretty early in your career. You had a few matches for LDN Wrestling in the UK in 2018. So how did that come about? How did they invite you, since you've only been around for a few months at that point?
Yes, so I think Justin White, BT, helped me with that because him and Waldo Brown were already in the UK to do some shows for Alien Wrestling, and I think after they came back home, um, we started talking, and then I think BT helped me to do a 3-day tour with them. So I think that was the first ever wrestling I did outside of Hungary. And for the first time, I was there with BT for 3 days. And the second time, I was there with Benji for another 3 days. So I think BT helped me with that, and that's how I got there actually for the first time.
So how was it for you to wrestle there? Was it very different from what we're used to in
Oh yes, it was very different because you had to do 2 matches every show, and it was so HCW crowd is a family crowd, I would say. but they really enjoy the hardcore stuff, the high flying stuff, the crazy spots. So they enjoy everything. And in LDM wrestling, it was like even more about like families having a great time. So there you had to wrestle differently. And I was really new in the business, so it was a really new experience for me. But I really liked it because yes, it was like 2 matches a day, which is a lot of experience. And you could feel how it really looks like if you do it like WWE and stuff like that. You do the show, you travel to the other city, you do the show again, and you do that for days. So it was a great experience, especially in a young age.
The next time I saw you after seeing you in your debut match was for Rings of Europe in Austria. They did a few shows that you were a part of. A lot of the other Hungarian wrestlers were on the show as well. I saw
Yes.
some of them actually before I first saw them in wXw. So did these bookings come together through the Arrows, or did they contact you?
No, in the beginning it was because of the Arrows of Hungary. So they helped us and they helped me to get more bookings. That's how we get to Prague, also to Art of Wrestling, to Rings of Europe, and these kind of promotions. So it was because of the help of the Arrows of Hungary.
And then you had your first match in Germany for GWP.
Oh yes, also that. Yes, exactly.
So that was your first step into German pro wrestling. And yeah, then the pandemic hit. Yeah, basically the whole world. So everything was shut down. HCW still did a few tapings, I think. You were part of the underground tapings. What was that like for you? What was it like for you to suddenly say, okay, I can't wrestle anymore until the underground taping started up again? And I think it was without any real fans and just wrestlers in attendance. So how was that different for you to wrestle in that environment?
Yeah, so it was in 2020, and we traveled to 16 Carat together. We had a great time. We were at the WXW Academy again, so we learned lot of new stuff. And we're supposed to have a show on the day when we come back from Germany, but like they canceled it because of COVID. So we were like really sad that we learned a lot of new stuff. We had a lot of energy. We really wanted to wrestle and we just couldn't. So in the beginning, it was like, okay, what are we gonna do now? But we were lucky, I would say, because we could still use the dojo. So at the dojo, we still had trainings. So we just went there to just train and to be together and do some wrestling. And then when they decided that they're gonna do the underground tapings without the crowd, we were actually really happy that we could wrestle again, not with a real crowd. So in the beginning, that was weird. I remember I did a spot in my match where I imagined it's gonna be like a huge reaction, and it was like silence. So I was like, oh, it was this bad. And then I realized, okay, no one's there, so it's okay to not get a reaction. So yeah, it was a great thing because we could still wrestle. We could feel how it feels like to do it, even though it's in like through COVID and everything. So I think it helped a lot for everyone, and and yeah, it was a new experience, but it was good because when we started in WXW, there was no crowd also, so we could already knew how it feels like.
We're used to it.
Yes.
So you had I think the first time it aired at least was in March of 2021 was when you actually joined WXW at the time. Had your first matches there. So how did you like that? Because you had some really good matches with some really great people, but like you said, no real crowd there, or only a very few people I think they invited at some points and had wrestlers in attendance. So how did you experience those first few months in your WXW career?
Yes. So in the beginning, when we got there, me and Guyash Junior was like, okay, what are we doing here? This is the biggest promotion in Europe, and now we are here with some of the top talents in European wrestling. So all right, we are the new guys here, so we have to show what we can do. And yes, my first match was against Marius Alani, who is like a really good wrestler, and I was not, so I didn't like that match at all, by the way. But since then, I feel like I could learn a lot, so I would like to do it again, actually, just to see how, like, the difference, But I don't know, like after 2 or 3 days, we kind of get used to the whole situation that we have to wake up early, go there, do the matches at the same time, like be in the crowd for the other wrestlers. And we did that for 5 days because it was a 5 day taping. And after the last day, we had to stay one more day because of the bad weather. Because the roads were really icy, we couldn't go home. So we had to stay one more day, and after that, we could finally go back to Hungary. And it took us around 14 hours in a car.
Wow.
Yeah, and we did that twice because the next taping was around beginning May, I would say. That was a 4 day one, and we still couldn't fly, so we had to drive, and that was like 12 hours. So, but we get used to it, and we did it because we loved wrestling.
So another promotion that was supposed to start up right as the pandemic hit was actually Passion Pro.
Oh yeah.
Which got postponed as well. So you've been on all the shows. Maybe you can talk a little bit about what Passion Pro means to you, and also the differences between HCW and Passion Pro.
Yes. So I think let's start with the differences because that's the easier topic. I think HCW is more about like stories, and really for like families to enjoy wrestling. And Passion Pro is I think is mixed with everything. You can see high flying matches there. You can see the super indie matches there. You can still see some storyline story matches. So I think that's the main difference. But it's really good to have a promotion where actually I can meet my friends from like outside of Hungary, the German guys, and like a lot of wXw guys, APC guys, so it's like a really good thing to be with these people in my home country and just having fun together, and being in a backstage where everyone is your friend, and everyone's really like wrestling and really passionate about wrestling. So it's a really, really great place to be.
Okay, so you started out being pretty much a regular with wXw around early 2022. And then you were part of the first 16 Carat after the pandemic hit.
Exactly.
And you had one of the breakout matches of the weekend with Aigle Blanc, and you also met Jonathan Gresham later in the tournament. So how was it for you that I think that I would guess it was probably the biggest crowd you've wrestled in front of, or the most international crowd?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So how do you remember that specific weekend and those matches?
Yeah, so against Aigle, it was a bit easier, I would say, because I already knew him, and we already had a match before that. So it was a bit easier, I would say. But still, I was really nervous, but at the same time, really excited. And after we had our match, I was like, okay, I had a good match now. I can be a bit like I can chill a little bit. And then they told me I'm gonna face Jonathan Gresham. I was like, that's big. That's a big thing. And before that match, I was really nervous. Actually, I was really hoping that I can do everything what we needed to do, and I was really hoping that I can face him in a way that I can show it to everyone that I'm capable of doing that. So I was nervous, but at the same time really excited, and I really, really enjoyed the whole 16 carat, and that was like the first ever for me. So I was just really, really, really happy with the whole experience I had there.
And a few months after that, you got involved in a feud with Robert Dreisskers, with the Arrows of Hungary,
Yes,
with Lawrence Romans, with Amboss. That was your first big storyline in wXw that went a couple of months and culminated in the Käfigschlacht, as we talked about. So how was it for you to be in this program, both with your mentors, and you also mentioned in another interview I read that Robert Dreisskers really helped you out to become a better wrestler as well when you trained with him at the academy. So maybe talk a little bit about that feud and what your thoughts were about it.
Yeah, so just like as you mentioned, they helped me a lot through my career, and they still help me actually. And just to be in a feud with them also helped me, because you when you are around them, you just learn. So if I look that way, it was a really great experience. But at the same time, if I think about it, they are my trainers, my mentors, and they attacked us, and they did a lot of bad things to us. So that part is of course the hard part. But I feel like I could learn a lot, and I could evolve a lot, not just in wrestling, but just like like a human being, just to be around them and stuff like that. So I'm actually I'm really happy that it was my first ever big storyline in wXw.
So, and then at the big cage match, there was this bad accident with Robert Dreisskers. How did you, and I guess that probably really dragged the mood down in the ring as well. But how did you enjoy that big cage match and that big?
Yeah, so just to make it clear, the injury was because of the crossbody. I've heard a lot of people thought it's because of the boot or like a bicycle knee, but no, it was from the crossbody. My hip bone hit his face, and that's how it happened. And also because there was like a huge cage around the ring. The springs didn't work how they usually work, so it was not that much bounce. So when we took the bump, it was more like kind of like hitting a solid surface. So that's how it happened. It was an accident, but it was because of the crossbody. So I did the crossbody. I could feel that I hit my hip, and I could see some blood. But I was like, okay, maybe it's the mouth or the nose. Okay, that's not a good thing, but it's nothing serious, so it's gonna be fine. And then I started working on him, and then I could see a lot of blood like coming out of the nose. So I was like, okay, maybe it's a broken nose. Then we kept going, and it was a lot, and just not stopping. So we were like, okay, that's not good. And the referees from outside, they already told me that Robert should be like taken out of the cage. Um, and then Aigle came in, and he also realized that. So he was the one who actually like threw him out of the ring, and then they took him backstage. And the hard part was that we didn't know what really happened and like what's the situation, but we still had to do the match in front of the crowd. So we couldn't show that okay, something bad happened. We have to work, and we have to give the people what they came for. And then we did the match. I think it was fine. Everything was fine. No other injuries. And then when we went to the backstage, that's when could see Robert with the ambulance guys and everything. We still didn't know what really happened, but we knew it's gonna be it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
And then they took him to the hospital, and like the whole night we were like on the phone, just like texting to everyone, like to get the information and stuff. And then when they did the X-ray, they told us it's broken. He's gonna get a surgery, blah blah blah. And of course, I felt like bad because I was the one who did the crossbody, but at the same time, I like everyone told me it's not my fault, it's wrestling and everything. So the mental part was hard because
a real big accident.
Yes, exactly. But the next day the next day I had to wrestle again, and just to make sure that the feeling goes out of my mind with the crossbody, I did a crossbody in my match, and everything was like safe and fine with it. So after that, it was way easier.
So you had one other big match last year that I wanted to talk to you about, and that was a singles match against Mike Bailey over World Tag Team Festival. Weekend Mike Bailey, one of the, I think we can agree, one of the best wrestlers in the world.
Yes, exactly.
Somebody very familiar to the wXw crowd. He's been coming to Europe for a long time. So how was it to work with him?
Yeah, so when we were at the academy in 2020, we had a seminar with Mike Bailey, and from that point I was like, okay, I need a match against him. I don't know when, but I need a match against him. So when they announced him that he's gonna be there for the Tag Team Festival, I was like really, really hoping that it's gonna happen, and it happened. So it was like a dream match for me for sure. And it was an amazing experience just to share the ring with him, like just to learn from him how, like he told me a lot of stuff after and before the match. So I learned a lot, and it was a really, really great experience to do it at the Tag Team Festival on night 3 against Mike Bailey.
Yeah, and then fast forward to this year, you were part of 16 Carat again, and you made it all the way to the semifinals this round. So you said before the tournament your goal was to get farther than you had been in the first year, and you accomplished that with 3 really great matches. And you first faced Trey Miguel, who is at the time at least, was the X Division champion from Impact. You beat him, then you beat Francesco Akira, who is one of the IWGP Junior Tag Team champions. And then finally you faced Axel Tischer. So how did you enjoy those 3 matches, and how did it feel to actually beat 2 champions in 2 major promotions on your way to the semifinals?
Yes. So the main difference was, it was my second time at 16 Carat. So I already knew what to expect. So because of that, I was a bit more relaxed and everything. I was still nervous about the matches, but I was there last year, so I knew how everything goes and how it happens. So that part was a bit easier actually. But yeah, with the the Trey Miguel and the Akira, um, so I always wanted to work those guys because I follow them, so I know what they do. I know that they were the champions back then. So it was a really it was a big thing to see that they are putting me against those guys, and they let me show what I can do against them, and I feel like I could prove what I can do against those big names. So as I mentioned, like when I'm with WXW, I just always learn a lot of stuff, and I really enjoy to be in the ring with the guys because like WXW like shows the best wrestle, not just in Europe but all over the world, I think. So it's just always a great experience to be there and to face anyone actually.
And so the man who finally beat you was Axel Tischer.
Yes.
And you've since challenged him to a best of 5 series, which is currently ongoing. I think the first match already happened. The second is scheduled, I think, actually for Dresden, if I'm not.
Yes, it's next week, exactly.
If I'm not mistaken. So, what does it mean to you? Because he's a veteran of the European scene. Obviously, he's been with WWE for a few years. So, how is it working with him, and what can you learn from working with him?
Actually, I think so. I already learned a lot of stuff from him, and not just so. Actually, he learned me. He showed me a lot of things about the business side of wrestling, and I think that's an important thing. So he already helped me a lot, and I did the challenge because I want to show that I'm not just a great upcoming talent in WXW, but I'm one of the best wrestlers in WXW, and not just in WXW, but in Europe. So for that, I felt like I have to challenge the best, and I think that's one of the top guys is X-Men for sure. So I was like, okay, I'm going to challenge him, and I'm going to show everyone that I can that I'm on his, of course not on his level, but I can be on his level later. So yeah, we already had our first match. I lose, but we have 4 more. if needed. So I'm pretty confident, and I feel like I'm going to beat him. I have to beat him. I have no other choice.
And I believe one of the matches announced, if you need it, will also be in London, I think.
Yes, exactly.
For the Progress Super Strong Style weekend, there will be one wXw show in London. So what does it mean to you to be able to wrestle in front of the British fans on a really big stage? Because that's one of the biggest indie shows in the UK of the year. So are you looking forward to it, or is it just another day at the office, so to speak?
No. I'm really looking forward to it. So I was in Progress last year, September, October. So I already had experience with them. So I'm really looking forward to be there again and to have, if it's needed, to have our final match there. I think that's like just like even more, like even a bigger thing than just to be in Progress Super Strong Style, but to have our final match against X-Man. I think that's like a really great place to have that. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm not, so what I try to do is not to think like way ahead, because I have a booking on this Saturday. I have one like next weekend, so I try to focus on those first. So when the time's gonna be there, I'm gonna think about that match. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
So you talked about it was the you were part of the natural progression series in,
Yes.
in Progress, and you actually wrestled Ricky Knight Jr., who's also has the reputation of being to be one of the best European wrestlers at the moment.
Yes.
So, how did you enjoy that match with him, and what was it like to wrestle him?
Yeah. So the whole Progress thing was a new experience for me, because so you mentioned that I was in the UK before for LDN, but I think that's a bit different kind of company. They more about like entertaining the families and stuff. But for Progress, they have a lot of hardcore fans, like they those guys who really like to see action and stuff like that. So it was a new experience. And with Ricky Knight, I think we had a great match. I know it. So he came very late because he had I don't know something. He had I don't know something. So he came very late to the show. So I was already in my gear and like waiting for him. And we're supposed to be the first match, but because of that they had to change it. So they put us after the break. So I think he arrived not long ago before the break. So I was like a bit nervous that if he's gonna make it on time, but then he did. We had a great match. Everything was fine. He's really good. He's an amazing wrestler. So I think I had a really great experience there also.
And you've wrestled for a few other promotions in Europe as well. You've wrestled a few times for APC in France now, and
Exactly.
there's the wXw connection there, and there's kind of like an axis of pro wrestlers, of good pro wrestlers in Europe at the moment, with Hungary, France, and Germany. So and we've seen you a few times in recent months with GWF in Berlin.
Yes, exactly.
More of a regular there, and also in Austria for Pro Wrestling Österreich. I actually saw your match in person with Michael Oku the last time they promoted. That was
Nice.
also a very, very good match. And we also
Thank
had
you.
an interview with Michael Oku, actually done after that show, where he also, was very complimentary of you. How did you enjoy that Michael Oku match?
Oh yeah, it was amazing. Like I knew him, I was following him, so I kind of knew what he's doing and everything. So when PW announced the match, I was like, oh, shit, okay, that's gonna be fun. And actually, it was fun. It was really nice to work with him. I think we did a great match. We did a long match actually, so it was a tough one. But at the same time, I really enjoyed it just to be there and to show the Austrian fans that what we can do. So I think it was a really great time, and I really enjoyed it. And yeah, and actually on Saturday we are going back for PW. That's my next booking.
You're right. I'll see you there as well.
Oh,
And
nice.
you were actually supposed to challenge Robert Dreisskers for.
Yes, exactly. And now I'm not sure about the plans. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'll be there and probably have a match.
Yeah, because I think we talked to Arno Enk, one of the promoters,
Yes.
an interview with him recently, and he also said that Robert will be there. So
nice.
yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see what
We'll see what's gonna
on
happen
there this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you are going to move to Germany. We talked about that in June. Do you already have a place scouted, or are you still looking, or how is that whole process?
So I'm still looking, but I found a really nice one, which I really like. And actually, after this interview, I'm going to make a call to the guy who sells it, because I already texted sent him an email, but my profile is new, so I'm not sure if it's gonna help for to find the flat. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna call him, even though if he's only speaking German, I try my best. So we'll see. But if it's not gonna happen, I'm still gonna look for some flats. But yeah, I'm going to move in June. There is a show on the 17th in Oberhausen, so that's the day that I'm going to move. And after that, I'm gonna stay in Germany and start my German life there.
Okay, that's cool. So if anybody has a nice flat near the
yes, please.
academy they want to rent out, then
yes, please send it to me.
Yeah, another thing we heard a lot, and we don't obviously with the whole sale and fusion going on, we don't know a lot, but one thing that's been brought up numerous times in the last few months is the idea of NXT Europe, so an NXT UK successor. Would that be something that you'd be interested in?
Oh yeah, for sure. So everyone is telling me that you're gonna get signed for NXT Europe, and it sounds really nice. But first, I want to see NXT Europe, and then if I see NXT Europe, then maybe I'm gonna think about, okay, getting signed there would be awesome. But yes, so if NXT Europe is gonna sign me, that's 100% yes from me.
So actually, you're the first person we're interviewing since the news of the WWE sale or merger with Endeavor and UFC broke. So is this something that you follow closely, or as a wrestler, is it more for you, okay, it's going to be a nice place to work at if they ever call, but I don't think a lot about the whole stuff happening in the background, or is that something that you're very interested in and that you're...
So I hear the news and I see the news, I read the news, so I know this stuff, but I feel like, so WWE is here for a really long time. They are a really successful business. So I think they know what they do. So these business choices are, I think they know what's the best for them. So I feel like if they feel like this is the good choice for them, they're gonna do it, and I'm gonna be okay with it. So yeah, business, I think.
Okay, now we talked a bit about WWE, about NXT Europe. There's obviously other places to work as well in the US, and there's also Japan, there is Mexico. So I'm looking a few years in your future. What would you like to accomplish, or where would you like to work?
Yeah, so I would love to work for PWG, maybe for Battle of Los Angeles. That would be amazing. That's a huge dream and goal for me. And I feel like, so when I was 19, I really wanted to wrestle in Japan. That was my back then. That was my dream to be there. So I feel like I have to go to Japan just to fulfill that dream for the 19-year-old Peter Tihanyi. So I have to go to Japan as well. But yeah, if let's say maybe a Mexican promotion wants to book me, I'm not gonna say no, because that's gonna be like a new experience. So actually, I would love to wrestle everywhere and anywhere I can. But yeah, if I have to say one, let's say the Battle of Los Angeles. That would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be a really great place for you, I think.
Yeah.
One other thing I've read in another interview you did, that you used to train in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Exactly.
for a
Yes.
time, that you enjoy grappling. And recently, I actually asked you before we started taping if that was you. You actually had an MMA fight in Hungary back in 2019. Maybe talk about that whole aspect of your life or your previous life,
Yes.
like the real martial arts, grappling, BJJ, how you came to have an MMA fight.
Yeah.
Is that something that you're still interested in?
So I'm still interested, but since I wrestle almost every weekend and do the trainings and everything, I don't have the time to do it how I did it like back then. So I started BJJ, I think in 2019, yeah, something like that, because I always like grappling, but I never like really did it in a club or something. So I was like, okay, I'm going to join this club. It's close to my like my place, and the guy there, the trainer there, is a really successful um, uh, like a competitor there and everything. So I was like, okay, this is gonna be a great club for me. So I did BJJ for almost 2 years. I still try to do it nowadays if I have the time. And now in our dojo we also have grappling trainings. So sometimes I join those also. And about the MMA fight, so we had a guy. His name is Renato. Maybe you know him. I don't know. He was there at that show when you were there with the British Strong Style.
I name rings a bell, so I think I know.
Yes, yes. He's like a huge guy, like a lot of tattoos, and he's an MMA guy actually. But he really liked wrestling, so he started doing wrestling. But like besides that, he was still doing the MMA. And they had a summer camp, and they invited us to be there because that day was about Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. So we went there, me and Icarus and two other guys from Hungary, and they told us that we can go there for free if we have an MMA fight with the guys there. So we were like, yeah, there is a price for everything, right? So we were like, okay, let's do it. It was not like a really huge fight. I was against a pro MMA fighter, so of course I had no chance. But it was a new experience, and I was like, okay, let's do it. I still have the video on my phone about that fight. It was fun. I had no chance, but I tried my best.
Yeah, but you're actually the WXW Academy is part of the Fight Club, which also
Oh
offers
yeah.
of MMA training and BJJ. So, do you think is that something that you will try to take more advantage of, like join some classes or just
Yes, for
spar with some
sure.
people?
So when we were there the last time after 16 Carat this year, we planned to do a training with Patrick, who was in the super fight
Yeah.
of Ambition, but because of some, I don't know, some reasons it didn't happen. So it was a plan for us to actually do something else, which is not just pro wrestling. So yeah, if I'm gonna be there, I feel like I'm gonna join more grappling trainings or MMA trainings.
So, another thing, you wrestling kind of turned a bit into a family business for you because I think your sister is actually part of uh, the video production team with WXW shows now. So did she just join that because you were there, or was she a wrestling fan before that, or how did she like end up in that position?
Yeah, so of course it's also because of me. I had the like like if you are my family, you just meet wrestling. Like there is no other choice for you. But she actually was a fan and also a fan of wrestling. So she started with HCW around 2018 because she really likes to do the media things. She does making video clips and stuff like that. So she was like, okay, I'm going to give this a try. It's a new thing for me. Why not to try it? And then she realized that she really likes to be there with the ACW guys, like having fun together, working together. And when I started working with WXW, she was like, do you think I should try try wXw, and I was like, yeah, sure. And that's how it happened, actually. So she really wanted to do it, and really wanted to work for them, and that's how she got into it, actually.
Yeah, it's a really cool story, actually. So in the immediate future, we talked about a few upcoming wXw shows. We talked about the Best of 5 series with Axel Tischer. So what are some of the upcoming dates or maybe upcoming promotions where people can see you? wXw also said that they would not they would still allow you, even though you're under contract with them, to work at the shows. So where can people see more of Peter Tihanyi, or what promotions?
So this Saturday is BWO. Next weekend is with wXw, Dresden and Leipzig. After that, I go back to GWP again, after 4 years, I would say. So it's a long time, but I'll be back in GWP, and also the next day is gonna be GWF. I'm thinking about new promotions, actually, but I think I have a lot of wXw dates, of course. So yeah, actually, I would say more German promotions now, and yeah. I actually I don't know my schedule. I always have to check it, but I always try to put it on my social media so everyone can see where I am actually.
So where can a great segue? Where can people find you on social media?
Yeah, so Instagram and Twitter. That's the two I use. I also have a Facebook, but I use that for like private. So if someone adds me on Facebook, probably I'm not going to answer that. But on social media, on Instagram, it's Peter.Tihanyi. On Twitter, it's Peter Tihanyi1 at the end, because Peter Tihanyi was already taken. I don't know who did that, but that's why I have the 1 in my name.
And do you also have a merchandising shop or something where people can order shirts and stuff?
So actually, my merch is now sold out. I only have pictures. So if I'm gonna have new one, I'm gonna post it on Twitter and on Instagram, so they're gonna see it there.
Okay, so that was a really fun interview. I think we got some great insights, and yeah, if check Peter out, especially at the wXw shows. And if you want to become a wrestler, or if you're a 12-year-old who also wants to become a wrestler like Peter did, then he will be a trainer at the wXw Academy in Gelsenkirchen. And you can sign up for classes there, and you can learn your first few roles with Peter Tihanyi as your trainer now.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And have a great day.
You too.